Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, What the Beck. Today I'm doing a crafty vlog. I thought this might be a more fun and I guess easier way for me to show you what I've been up to. We're starting off with me while I was dyeing my hair, waiting for it to set, caking up some really nice wool yarns that I got from Scrap More. As you might know if you've watched my channel before, one of my most favorite places to source secondhand materials for a really affordable price. So if you're in Maryland and you go to Baltimore, I recommend checking them out. These were pre-packaged little sock yarns, and they came with I think 5 each, and I got 4 sets, and that's like a huge score for me because I think I bought them for $10 each, and little sets like that can usually go for upwards of like $50. And yeah, that whole bag was the cakes of all of those sock yarns. Then I went ahead and caked up this beautiful kind of electric purple. It's pretty dark color, which I don't usually go for, but I really loved the purple. I thought it might go with some of my other yarns that I have in my stash. I'm kind of scheming on a galaxy or space themed knit eventually. So I went ahead and caked those up as well. And yeah, the next thing I put in this little video here is this crochet scarf. I got this yarn for free actually at one of the events I went to last month. It was at a place called Give Rise Studio in Frederick, Maryland, and they basically just said everybody come bring your craft supplies ahead of time, and then they sorted it all into categories and gave it away for free. So I got these really cool acrylic marled yarns. I believe it was called Facets yarn, and I think it was from Loops and Threads, but don't quote me on that. It had this really cool color shifting effect, and I chose to do the star stitch for this scarf. I intended to sell this, so I tried to make it as long as I could with the 2 skeins that I had, and I think it turned out really pretty. It's like beautiful fallish colors with the like orange and green, and then there's also some fun pink and blue in there. And the star stitch actually helped it pool into a really cool pattern where it was kind of like every repeat was its own little part of the gradient, but the way the yarn is constructed, it all kind of melds together really beautifully. So I made this lesbian pride scarf, but it's a little short for my liking, and I also don't like the way the color pooled, so I'm gonna unravel it, cake it up. This is sometimes something that happens. I'll make something and then I decide it just didn't turn out very great. It's really helpful when it's something like a scarf or a hat that just has one kind of construction component rather than a sweater made with different pieces. But yeah, this is just part of the artistic process. Sometimes you have to make something before you realize you don't like it, and then you can just reuse the yarn for something else, or you know, even just give it away if you really don't want to use that yarn again. And yeah, this is the cake when it's not a scarf anymore. That's what it looks like. As you might also know, I like experimenting with dyeing my own yarn, and I was fortunate to find some wool yarn at Scrap, so I'm just hanging that up here to get it ready to dye. So we're on the floor. I've been chipping away at this all week because I feel guilty about the amount of scrap yarn that I have, so I wanted to put it into something, and this was already started, and I was like, I'm not starting another thing. So I've been just working like this like crazy. I think where I picked up was like, oh my gosh, no, it was before that. I believe this bit down here with the fuzzy green stuff is where I started last week. But all of that, it's like 2 and change feet of work, and it's a very thick blanket because the rows kind of overlap each other, so it's been taking a while, but it's very cozy. It's kind of like a weighted blanket. And I have been using up a lot of scraps. I had originally like rewound a bunch of yarn into double-stranded cakes. So I was trying to focus on using them up, but I unfortunately used a lot of similar colors when I did that. So a lot of them have like light yellow, like this yellow was paired with a bunch of stuff. And then it's paired with blue over there out of reach. But I want the contrast between the little blocks, so like I have some darker ones and stuff, but it's getting so long that I'm thinking I'm gonna have to finish it soon. So then I'm like, what am I gonna do with the scraps from the scrap project? Because I still have a whole box of acrylic yarn that I either want to use up this month or else I'm going to donate it, because I just been leaning towards using the wool yarns, and since I am not crafting to survive anymore full time, I don't need as much acrylic in my stash because I'm not trying to make budget items anymore. I'm more so making things for me to wear in my life, and that takes a lot longer because I'm knitting the things that I'm currently working on. So, and then of course Stephen West posts that there's gonna be a sock knit along, and I've been wanting to make socks, and you can't just show me a mystery crochet or knit along and expect me not to do it, because like that's so fun. So I picked out some yarn for that. I have these two. The original design is one main color and 3 contrast colors, but he said go ahead and use a color change yarn if you want. So I figured this and this, because this has been in my stash for about a year and I love it and it's so beautiful, and but I need to use the stuff I have. This I got for $5 in a clearance bin at Maryland Sheep and Wool, so that's pretty good. It's kind of like a natural black color. It's kind of like charcoal, so I think they're gonna contrast really good together. This one is from Companion Fiber in West Virginia. It's funny because I just went up to West Virginia. Colorway Classic Rainbow, and it is a merino wool, which I heard is not the best for socks, but you know, I figure I'm gonna use what I have. Worst case scenario, they become house socks. But I really wanna, I don't have any like short socks anymore. I'm even actually wearing my hand knit alpaca socks, which don't make socks out of alpaca. It stretches like crazy, and these are basically slippers at this point. So I heard that it's not the best for that, but it does have a fairly high twist for a thin yarn. So I'm gonna see how it goes. I might have to switch up what yarn I'm using for it, but that's for next month anyway. So I want to do this in July, so I'm like, I want to finish something before I start this. So I'm gonna try to finish my red sweater, which is gonna be a lot of work. And if you didn't see my funky little homemade ice pack here, this is a Ziploc bag with ice in a pillowcase with a hair tie, because I've been undergoing treatment for my spine, which I kind of mentioned in my last video, but I'm trying to be nice to my body, but my body is so sore from the treatments, so I'm icing it because that's what the doctor said to do. So that's what this is. But yeah, this has been the main thing I've been working on, and I really like it, and it's also really heavy, so I'm thinking I might end up keeping it. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be keeping every blanket I make, but I kind of rationalize it by saying like, it's really big, it's really heavy. My husband and I just went on a camping trip with my coworkers, and it was cold at night, so I was like, maybe this can be stored with our tent and it can be our camp blanket. So that's what I decided to call it, and I'll finally be doing the tutorial for it actually soon. I know I said I'd be doing it soon back when I started it, but you know, things happen. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on. I also started another crochet project, which I don't feel actually ashamed about it, but I'm like, why did you do that? This is the crochet project and the sweater is the knit project. So if you need a break from one, do the other. But I was at the baseball game and I needed something small to bring in. I didn't feel like messing with bringing all my knitting and stuff, because that project is loaded up with stitch markers. It has a chart for every single stitch. I check off every single stitch on the chart, and I didn't feel like messing with it. So yeah, I think the pattern I'm using for that sweater thing is called Starry Night Pullover, which I don't know if it is a pullover or cardigan. It's a cardigan, but I'll put the name and designer here. You can find it on Ravelry. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, that is basically what I did yesterday. So I just did the bottom ribbing basically, and then I did the first row for the actual sweater part. This is a Karen cake that I thrifted. It's a blossom cake and it's called Radiant Rainbow, and I just want to say that, like, no, this is garden rainbow. This is like Monet. This is like floral accompaniment. I don't know. They could have called it anything else. It's not rainbow. There's no purple. Well, there's kind of purple, but it's so muted. I don't know. I'm particular about rainbows. Yeah. So that's what I have been mainly working on for this past week. I'm hoping to do some more work on my sweater, but I do have a lot of appointments this week to do with my spine, and I'm planning a trip to France to visit my sibling, and we're kind of ironing that out tonight. So I might be able to do some on my sweater tonight, but I'm like, this is my goal now. I want to finish the sweater so I can do the socks. So we'll see how it goes, because it is cables and complicated in the charts, so we'll see how far I get. I'm not gonna not let myself do the socks if it's not done by then, but I'm like making my priority list. And then using the scraps, I think those kind of, it's not that they don't count as new projects, but it's like I'm making stuff out of them to sell. So like my little stress balls that I have a tutorial for, my little crabs and snakes. I think I'm going to be making a lot of crabs and snakes out of that scrap stuff, because, you know, I'd rather have little things to sell if I'm inspired to make something with the yarn, and then if I'm not inspired, I'll just donate it to someone in my Buy Nothing group, because we actually have a lot of people that are asking for yarn in my Buy Nothing group. Yeah, so this place is a mess, and I'm gonna clean it up, so let's do a time lapse. I haven't actually done like a big deep cleaning of the craft room in a while, because I was very busy at work for a few months, and now that the busy season is over, I'm like, I'm ready to get to creating. I also have some fun ideas for projects that I want to put into the fair this summer, so I just really wanted to like clean up, get everything put away, so that when I'm ready to work on certain things, I know where the stuff for them is. One of the things I really want to do is make little detachable flower pieces for a green sweater that I finished, I believe it was actually last year, and that's going to go into my local fair, which is having like a flower garden theme. So that's one of my little ideas that's been bouncing around in my head. I also want to make this beautiful shawl that I saw in a Lord of the Rings pattern book at the library near me. And I actually bought the yarn for it, and I already dyed some of the colors custom because the brand that I am using didn't have like the exact colors I wanted. So I just got some white and dyed them myself. And that shawl has beads on it, and I've never done knitting with beads before. So I'm excited to try that out eventually. I don't think that one will be done in time for the fair, but we'll see what happens if I get some of these other little scrappy projects done and like find some yarns in my stash to turn into things to sell. If some of them don't sell, I might end up putting some of those in the fair as well. I did just like take an evening recently to go through my almost finished things, like just weave in the ends or add the eyes or embroider the mouths on them, and that kind of helped me feel a little bit better about how many whips I have, because then I had less, because once they're finished, they're items to sell. And I kind of realized that I have a lot of items that are like halfway done rather than most of the way done. So I really need to put some work into those. Just gonna take them one at a time and then work on them till they're done. So it's much better, but I feel like I'm just adding to baby's blanket domain. If she expands anymore, I don't think we're gonna survive. So I'm gonna have to finish up the bus blanket. It's like, I don't not want to do it, but it's like, I don't know why I don't want to do it, you know? But yeah, this green bin is gonna be my current projects. Now that those frogs are officially in there, I'm gonna need to finish them up. So, yes. Baby, can you finish these frogs? She's like, nah. I don't want to finish the frogs. I'm just a little baby. So, unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a liar. I mean, I have been focusing on doing this sweater, and I got to the point where I separated the sleeves onto their own little cords, so each row goes a lot faster now because you're literally doing half the number of stitches. It's getting there. I would say it's at least half the height it's gonna be. And I ended up making my own Frankenstein little charts, because the pattern that it gives you like a continue in pattern, and I'm like, I don't have that memorized, so I just kind of like took it into Procreate and slapped copy and paste a few together. And yeah, but the reason I say I'm a fibber is because it's not what it looks like. I did not just make all of these. Holy crap, baby, what are you doing up there? So yeah, these were in a bag. I made these out of scrap yarn a few years ago, and I just saw them and I was like, you know, I should see what I'm gonna do with them, see if I have enough to make something. I was thinking like a market bag or something, but there's a decent amount here, and there's a huge skew towards purple. So I was like, okay, well, let's get out some of the warmer colors and assign them to this. So I did make a few squares, and I also might have finished this blanket, which when I checked in last, I said that it was getting long and probably needed to be finished soon. And past that point, I literally just did the finishing row. So I didn't do too much on this, but I literally laid it on the bed, like a queen size bed, and it covered the entire thing. So I was like, okay, yeah, that doesn't need any more rows. So this is officially done, except for the ends, which I really don't want to weave in, but I need to experiment to see how I want to finish them. I don't know if I want to braid them or what. So we'll see how that goes. But this one is officially done. That is about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 pounds of scrap yarns that I am going to end up keeping, but I'm going to store it in the basement as our camping blanket. Now, I also took these frogs and finished them up because, to be fair, they only needed, 2 of them needed mouths embroidered, and they just needed their little buttholes sewn up, so I went ahead and finished them. So these are ready to go for sale. And I kind of collected the rest of my yarns from the scrap yarn into this bin, and they're still to be determined. Like, some of them I'm probably going to donate, some of them I'm going to use. I then went and opened my least used drawer, which was my drawer of brown stuff, and I caked a few together and I labeled them like 1, 2, 3, A and B to make a cardigan out of. And I'm like, you know, I wanted to focus on one thing, but those rules were arbitrary, and I guess it doesn't make very much sense in my own brain, even though I made the rule to, you know, force myself to focus on one thing. When it doesn't have a deadline. If anything, I'd like to wear this at Christmas time, but it's summer now, and it is getting pretty big and bulky to be, like, working on, which is fine, and I'm still very much enjoying it, especially now that it's even rows, and I just like go. So yeah, I'm gonna just follow the serotonin and the dopamine and see what projects I want to work on. And on that note, this is the brown cardigan I was talking about working on. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna add some length to it with ribbing and ribbing for the cuff, but this is essentially half of it, and then I started the other half yesterday night while I was watching Konosuba. This one doesn't seem to be having as many color changes as this one, so I might kind of fudge that a little bit. I originally intended to just use each cake until they're gone, but you know, it is more interesting with more stripes, so yeah, I'll do that. And this one will probably stay on the couch as a couch project. The other couch project I have is this wave blanket with the blues and purple and green, and there's some like brown and gray in there too. But this one is also getting pretty close to being done. But I still have a lot of unused yarn in this basket. Like, this is a pretty large basket here. But again, it's been hot, so I don't really want to work on a whole blanket. So yeah. I ended up calling my sibling for a while just to like catch up, and went ahead and did my nails actually after that, but I just went ahead and braided all these together. It actually looks pretty cute. It was definitely time consuming and a lot of work, but you know, it goes fast when you're talking to somebody. I just braided it for about 2 inches and then tied it and then cut the edge to be like 3/4 of an inch. I didn't measure it, it wasn't super precise, but luckily I ended up, by complete chance, doing a multiple of 3 rows, so I didn't have to like fudge any, where like I was totally prepared to like split the last one in half if I really had to, but I didn't. So yeah, that's this one in the books. I'm gonna go put it in the basement right now. And look who decided she got a brand new bed. Hey, you are so silly. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you also have a ton of projects like I do, and please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to see more from me. Bye!